Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Play, Pause, Rewind, episode 112. It's going to be a fun one.
Ooh.
Niles, how have you been the last 3 weeks since we recorded?
I've been good. There have been some good positive changes in my life. I am finally over the hill and I'm in my 30s, which is a lot of fun. I'm part of the club. And for our visual listeners, new recording space as well. I've moved into a new little studio set
Yeah.
area to record. And by studio, I mean my office. So very exclusive. But this is a good change. And now I'm not, um, I'm in a more ergonomic setting to do these podcasts, which is
Yes.
great. I'm happy about that.
Yeah,
How
for
have you been?
for those who don't know, like before this,
Mhm.
Niles was always like setting up his laptop and light and microphone like on your bed, right? And you would just record
Basically,
on your
yeah,
bed.
basically.
So, moving up in the world. But yeah, I'm doing all right, staying busy, a little tired, but it is what it is. Had a lot of good movies, some shows coming out too, but before getting into the show, I do want to say like massive condolences to the victims of the floodings in Texas. I am from Austin. I grew up there, and a lot of people I knew, including my little sister, went to those summer camps a lot. So
Mm,
I'm going to try to find some good donation links to put in the description as well. Obviously, it's devastating and
yes.
tragic what happened there. And it's climate change is a part of it. We need to be more vigilant in our infrastructure construction and fund programs to both mitigate the risks of climate change and also provide comprehensive relief efforts. But yeah, so I'll put some links if I can find some good ones in the description to donate or send other resources if you have the availability. That would be very much appreciated coming from someone, from that state. So,
Hmm.
but other than that, let's get into the meat and potatoes of our podcast. We review movies here, and this
Hmm.
week we are talking about a very exciting one. We are talking about Superman. Um,
Superman.
Written and directed by James Gunn, Superman follows the titular hero in the first theatrical entry in the new DC universe and sees Superman face off against Lex Luthor and find his place in the wider world of superheroes. The film stars David Corenswet, Rachel Brosnahan, Nicholas Hoult, Eddie Gathegi, Nathan Fillion, Isabella Merced, Skylar Gissando, Wendell Pierce, and many, many more. Niles, what are your initial non-spoiler thoughts on Superman?
I do not claim to be a Superman expert. I never have. And I'm definitely not going to start right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I haven't allowed myself the time to watch all the different iterations because I know that there's been so many Supermen, so many different actors
Mm-hmm.
have portrayed him in so many different movies. Um, But that said, I will say that this I absolutely loved. Absolutely loved Superman 2025. It just
Mm-hmm.
feels so original, so uplifting, so campy, so corny, so grounded, and so
Mm-hmm.
genuine at the same time. Like, I've seen comments online. I'm sure you have, Dylan, too, of like people
Mm-hmm.
getting pissed off about like the wokeness of this movie. Like Superman's gone woke and shit, and like
Superman's always been woke. He used to
Superman's
he used to fight the Nazis, man.
exactly like this is a this his literal origin story is him coming to Earth. It's always been that way. He's always
Yeah.
been an immigrant.
He's always been an
Maybe
immigrant and a refugee and standing up for the little guy. Like that's
yeah, fighting fascists. And if you have a problem
mm-hmm.
with that, you maybe could be a fascist. But
We might be talking about that later in the show.
yeah, yeah, and I'm like, if you're upset about this issue, if you think that Superman's gone woke, you've missed the point. We'll get more to that later. It's a core
Mhm.
piece of his character, even like in the Zack Snyder films. But yeah, we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
Um, but to me, this movie feels so fresh. Like it's kind of cut right from the garden and just hand delivered to our
Mhm.
plates. It's just like I think that there are some clunky elements, and I think this movie, like
Mhm.
one thing that I do think it could have been a little bit better is that I feel like it's really heavy on exposition in certain chunks.
Mhm.
But overall, I think this nails the Superman story. It's so inspiring. It's campy. It's fun.
Mhm.
It's just a fun time. Well, like, what are some of
Yeah.
your initial thoughts, Dylan?
Yeah, I thought this was a ton of fun, and it's a really strong foundation for this new universe as well. It does sort of drop a lot on you very quickly,
Hmm.
but the movie, like once it finds its feet and you sort of sync up with its rhythm, it really feels good to watch. I think it nails the tone that I am personally looking for in a Superman story. It just exudes hope and a desire to be better. I think like the classic Superman tagline was always truth, justice, and the American way. At some point a while back, they changed it though to truth, justice, and a better tomorrow, which I actually think is an improvement because
Hmm.
it's just it's like, the American way is like, oh, you're just living up to what's the status quo, what is happening now, and America doesn't always do the best shit. Um, but a better tomorrow, that's I think that's what Superman is really about. He is about being this symbol of hope to help people himself, but also inspire other people to do that. And I think that's at the core of what this movie has going for it. It's also refreshingly political for a big blockbuster movie, and it's pretty transparent about what it's saying, in my opinion. And I think one of the ways it works, though, is it's executed in a way that isn't overbearing on the story and wouldn't like confuse kids who aren't up to date on geopolitics, right?
Yeah.
Like it's it's because this genre, we'll talk about that more a little bit later into the spoiler section, but this genre is first and foremost for like kids and preteens, right? All of us enjoy this, but it's like we're watching men in tights jump around and fight each other. It's
Hmm.
so it's important to present issues in this genre sometimes in a way that's digestible to kids. And we'll talk more about that in spoilers as well, but I think it really nails that.
Hmm.
Um Performances fantastic across the board, like to a
Yeah.
degree where no one performance stands out because they're all so perfectly executed. Like the casting and acting was brilliant. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I will say one criticism I think is pretty fair. It's a little overcrowded sometimes in terms of characters and the amount of things
Sure.
going on. But and I have one bigger issue that I'll say for spoilers. It's a little specific. But you have anything else you want to jump into before we go to spoilers?
Yeah. There's something I just wanted to call out. Because I did a little bit more research on this than some
Hmm.
other films that we've reviewed, but I read an NPR article that was a review of this movie. It's written by Glenn Weldon,
Hmm.
and I think he did a really good job of summarizing the core tenets of what makes a good Superman story. And he said
Yeah.
that this is just a quote, the two central definitive attributes of any Superman story are selflessness and resolve.
Mm.
He must always, one, put the needs of others before those of himself, and two, refuse to give up. If either of those factors are missing, our minds rebel. It's simply not Superman. And I
Hmm.
really agree with that sentiment because I feel like he's the Superman in this movie. He's like, he is supposed to be that guy who's the hero who stands up for others, especially for
Hmm.
people who can't defend themselves. He takes the
Yep.
stand and he's committed to helping others. He's protecting others. It's an unwavering commitment. He doesn't sacrifice
Hmm.
his values for a quick win or a shortcut. He doesn't lie. He's a truthful, honest guy. I think that's kind of a
Hmm.
theme throughout the comics always. It's just like, yeah, you can always trust Superman. He's never going to lead you astray. He's never going to lie, and he's always going to stand up for others and protect
Hmm.
them, even with him versus the world. He's like, I'm going to stand up for the little guy who's right. And
Right.
I really love that. And I think this movie did a good job of embodying that spirit that feels consistent
Hmm.
throughout. Like, Superman goes out of his way to make sure everyone's safe. He saves a squirrel in this movie, which is pretty cool. Like he's like committed to like protecting life, and I love
Mm-hmm.
that about it. And so that's really kind of what I think makes this movie feel so original and real. It's just like it feels
Mm-hmm.
like Superman's actually in this movie, and he's actually
Yeah.
playing this role of Superman. Even though it's camp and it's corny, um, I really liked it a lot, and I'm
Yeah.
excited to see where it goes from here.
Yeah, one thing about it, like it is corny, but the way it works is it's not shy about it. It's not shy about being a fun, silly superhero movie, and it takes itself seriously when it needs to. But
Mm-hmm.
so many, I think, in an effort to sort of ride the coattails of the Nolan Dark Knight trilogy, um, there was a tendency, especially on the DC sides, to maybe shy away from some of the sillier elements and try to, I respect the approach and the desire to make a more grounded, sort of dark Superman, tonally aligned with the Dark Knight as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work for me. It didn't work for me for the most part, but I understand the vision they were going for. It's just not for me. But
Yeah.
I like to what you were saying too about Superman, like his selfless nature and always doing the right thing and sticking up for the little guy. I kind of think like he is in a lot of ways the Boy Scout archetype, kind of like Captain America is.
Yeah.
And some people in the modern era, maybe think that that archetype is a little bit outdated and not as fun to watch because it's like, oh, it's just a basic good guy. That's no fun. I like sort of
Mm-hmm.
like characters with a little bit of more edge and darkness to them, and that's fine. But I think part of what makes those characters so interesting is when you put them in a world in a setting that doesn't align with that. And you
Yeah.
see how hard it is to hold true to those values in a world that is more cynical and more interested in shades of gray. It makes the job of being that type of person is nearly impossible. And when they do it, that makes it more satisfying. So that's one thing I like
Yeah.
about this. Overall, it's great. It strikes the exact feeling that I want to see, and I'm excited to see more from literally every element of this movie. Anything else you want to hop into spoilers?
No, let's hop on in. Why not?
All right. So I think structurally, I found this movie very interesting, and to me, it felt a lot like reading a trade paperback comic book. Like because a lot of times when
Mm-hmm.
I pick up a comic book, from the comic shop, it's like all these they're like story arcs, but they typically exist within like the broader run of DC or Marvel or whatever. So,
Yeah.
like a comic book in this, we're dropped into an established universe with lots of characters and character dynamics already in play or set up. And also, like a trade paperback, like there's an overarching narrative in the film, but there are also sort of little mini arcs throughout,
Mm-hmm.
similar to how each issue in a comic volume would have its little mini arc as well.
Yes.
And yeah, it was just, I think that structure really worked. In Cosmonaut Variety Hours review, he talked about how initially there were going to be like title cards between each sequence of the
Oh,
film, and I kind of wish they'd kept that if that was actually there, because it would have made the structure feel more deliberately evocative of like that episodic structure, but it's fine without it. It just would have been fun.
yeah. I get what you mean. I don't think I needed those, but yeah,
Mhm.
I this you're totally right. Like we come into this movie and it's like I think the creators probably assumed that at this point Superman is a story that's been around for
Mhm.
like a century. At this point, it's been so many
Yeah.
years. If you're not
Mhm.
familiar with it at this point, you've been living under a rock.
Yeah.
And I don't think that we can assume that everybody knows things like Hawkman and all the Green Lanterns and all the lore of
Mhm.
DC. Like that's fine, but I feel like
Yeah.
if you're coming into this movie and you're expecting to have like a very like like a good setup, like a good lead in for you,
Mhm.
that's like, okay, I understand who everyone is, I understand the players and everything like that.
Mhm.
That's not going to happen, and I think the creators realize, yeah, our audience is a little smart. about
Mhm.
superheroes. We don't need to do a complete reset of the stage.
Right. Mhm.
We don't need to wipe the scoreboard and put in a whole new cast of characters. We can just kind of say we're starting here, not at
Yeah.
the start. We're starting wherever we want. Like James Gunn, I think
Mhm.
they realized they don't need another origin movie for Superman. We already know everything about it. Um,
Mhm.
and I think that, yeah, if you're a comic book fan already, you know what you know. You don't need much
Mhm.
explained to you, and I think it hits the ground running really well here. Um, yeah, it's I think it's a fantastic start. Just getting dropped into this expanding universe that even that like the
Mhm.
title card where he just like, oh yeah, it's just that the threes, like the pattern of threes,
Mhm.
like 3 centuries ago metahumans came out, and then 3 decades ago
Yep.
this happened, and then 3 weeks ago, like I thought
Mhm.
that was a really clever way to just say this is the stage we're going.
Yeah. What's clever about it too, and I didn't notice this, but I saw it pointed out online. It goes from 3 years to 3 weeks. It skips over 3 months.
Mm,
But then throughout the course of the movie, you realize Clark and Lois have been dating for 3 months. So there is
mm,
another little thing in there, which is kind of fun. But to what you're saying, James Gunn said in an interview that there are three things he never wants to see in a superhero movie again, or doesn't think we need to see again.
yeah.
And I think the ones he said were Krypton blowing up and Kal-El coming to Earth, Bruce Wayne's parents dying, and Uncle Ben dying. And
Yep.
I'm of two minds about this. I agree for today's audience. We don't need to see those things anymore. We all know them.
Mm-hmm.
These are some of the most iconic characters in American, pop fiction. We've all seen those things. With Spider-Man specifically, we've seen it in two separate franchises in the last 30 years,
Yeah.
right? Fair. But I actually don't want this point and this mindset to become a rule for this genre and these characters, because like I said in non-spoilers, like, first and foremost, this genre is for kids, and there will
Mm-hmm.
always be new kids being born and growing up who don't know that. They didn't grow up with the Sam Raimi movies. They didn't grow up like watching The Dark Knight, or
Yeah.
they definitely didn't grow up watching Batman 1989. So they're like reading comics, and I forget exactly where cuz I have known Superman and Batman's origins for a really long time, but I remember watching when I was a kid. I forget how old I was, but there was an animated Justice League movie where they fought the White Martians, and then I think it led into a Justice League animated series after that. Like, the
Mm-hmm.
movie was the pilot, and then I think I learned a lot of details about their characters. I had like the little visual dictionary books for Superman and Batman the animated series.
Yeah,
Um,
cool.
but it's like you can't completely abandon those story beats long term across all of the superhero media, because like then you have an onboarding problem for new readers and new
Yeah,
viewers, right?
that's true.
So
Mm-hmm.
I I it works for this movie. We kind of start in the middle, and skipping over the origin allows us to get into more fun stuff faster. Like, we can tell more stories with the characters, and it feels like we're in a lived in space, but it shouldn't be the status quo for everything. It's got to be like
For
case
sure.
by case.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
But
Because I know that they're gonna do like Clayface and stuff, and I'm like,
mhm.
I couldn't tell you anything about Clayface,
Mhm.
so I think yeah, we'll need an origin for him. I need to know exactly how that happened. But like, yeah, like Batman, we don't need that again. Um,
Well,
Green
and the
Lantern to a certain
Batman
extent,
skipped
but
over it as well.
yeah,
Like, the Batman skips over his origin, and it works just fine, but they exist like in this specific time with our specific audience, right?
yes, yeah, but
But
yeah,
yeah, let's talk about Clark and Lois a little bit. Our main leads, Clark Kent and Lois Lane. We start the movie, like the movie more broadly, we're at an interesting point in their relationship. Like, they've been dating for a
yeah,
little while, and they're sort of at the junction where like things are either going to get more serious or they're going to fall apart. I think it would have been fun to see like the early moments of this version of Clark and Lois, kind of like getting to know each other, seeing her find out that he's Superman. But I think this was ultimately a pretty interesting place to start, and it like kind of fits with the structure of the rest of the movie too.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. Like, I really did like their dynamic. I really like Lois in general. Like, I
Hmm.
think um she's funny. She's a real hard hitter.
Hmm.
And they have a great chemistry as well too. Like, I think both of them play off of each other really well, especially in
Hmm.
that interview sequence, which is just kind of like a slow train wreck.
Yeah, apparently David Cornswit said that on set she said something and he just like involuntary burst out like "fuck you." Like
But yeah, he's like, he thinks he's gonna get like this softball interview where he's like, "Oh yeah, we're
Mhm.
dating. It's gonna be easy. You know, I already have answers
Yeah.
prepared." And then she asks really hard hitting
Mhm.
questions that he's not prepared for, and I think it's so great. And you made a point when we were leaving the theater that did kind of stick with
Mhm.
me that I thought was good. I wanted to bring it up, but give credit to you because you came up with it
Thank
first.
you.
That their romantic plot line in like MCU recent entries, like
Mhm.
recent MCU films, has been more or less absent. Like, it's, or at least it's like a
Yeah.
very minimal thing. And I think you
Mhm.
were totally right on that. Like, the romance in this movie does feel more central, more integral, and Lois has
Mhm.
plenty to do here, which is great. Um, Unlike Amy Adams and the Zack Snyder films, she didn't have much to do. So I'm glad that she had more agency
Mhm.
here. And but yeah, it feels like if you do have like this nice, comfortable kind of relationship on screen that you're
Mhm.
rooting for, and you're like, I like the chemistry, I want to see them together, it adds more emotional tension to the movie. You
Right.
build a stronger emotional connection with the characters, and you want to see them succeed. And in the MCU, I would say that's not really been the case lately, that they've had like very engaging relationships that can bring
Mhm.
you more into the plot, you know?
Yeah, and like they exist. Like you got Peter and MJ and
Yes.
I guess Thor and Jane again, sort of in Thor 4, but it's like it just became an interesting trend where like established relationships and also it's not just romance, it's like but like sexuality got kind of pulled out
Mm,
of it. Like the or sexual tension even. And like Tony and Pepper break up for like a significant stretch of the MCU, remember?
mhm,
And then they get back together eventually, but Peter and MJ even like they're at a point where she doesn't remember who he is. Even the established relationships just kind of like exist but aren't really built upon all that much. And we also saw it in like Star Wars, like the sequel trilogy. There was some like romantic tension between Rey and
mhm,
Kylo Ren for a little bit there, but it's like nothing really comes of that. And it seems like a trend in a lot of big blockbusters where like romance and sex are kind of being pushed to the back burner. And
mhm.
it's interesting and it's kind of weird. But
A little bit.
yeah. It was nice that the romance is front and center here because it's like it's fun to have two people you can root for. Like it's a conflict outside of the superhero punch 'em up stuff that's going on that you can root for. Like it's a more personal, grounded thing.
Exactly,
That.
yeah, and you're rooting for them the whole way, like, yeah, exactly, like, I was thinking of, yeah, No Way Home,
Hmm.
um, by the end there, you alluded to it, yeah, like, no one MJ doesn't remember who Peter is, and it's just kinda like it's like that final dagger in the heart where it's just like,
Hmm.
"Oh, no." I it's a great emotional punch at the end that really
Yeah.
drives it home and makes that movie
Hmm.
really great. Just not as big in the MCU these
Yeah.
days, but
Yeah. But I mean, that being an example of why it's good to have it because the
yes.
emotional gut punch of that Spider-Man film is the fact that this like adorable little romance is going to come to an end in like a minute.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
um but yeah, speaking of Lois and the journalism stuff though, I really enjoyed everything about the Daily Planet. We don't get a ton of Clark specifically interacting with them, which is definitely something I want to see more of in the sequel.
Mm-hmm.
But I still enjoyed everything we get from the rest of the Daily Planet supporting cast, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I would agree. I really liked all the Daily Planet stuff. Super fun
Hmm.
and very comedic in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And like that we saw Clark in this space too, because I feel like the Daily Planet is essential to his
Hmm.
values as Clark and his values as Superman, because it kind of keeps him grounded in reality in a way. Like when you're always soaring, like Homelander, a, th- a mile high above everybody else, and you're not really like
Hmm.
paying attention to like the real world, what's happening on the ground, like
Hmm.
actually paying attention to the news and interviewing people and getting to know them and their stories. Like you
Yeah.
lose touch with reality and you lose touch with like what's ethical and
Hmm.
what's what's good, what's right, all those kinds of good values. And I think the Daily Planet helps steer him a little bit.
Hmm.
And it was cool to see him doing some real journalism, interviewing himself.
Yeah, that was fun, and it's fun that he gets called out for that. One thing that we specifically don't see though that I would like to see more of is just, you know, part of the fun, and Spider-Man has this too where it's like, "Oh, he's got to do work. He's got to like write the story by his deadline, but uh-oh, someone's attacking the city and he's in the office. He like looks around, he has to go like, James Gunn said in an interview that this Superman does not wear his um suit under his clothes, which for realism is fine, but also it's like, I don't know, man, maybe change that because you kind of want him to like run off into the hallway and take off the glasses and open the shirt and fly away.
Yeah.
Um like I want to see stuff like that uh in the future. I think a really fun thing they could do in the sequel is like um maybe like Brainiac is attacking Earth or something and Superman has to fight Brainiac, but Clark is assigned to cover the Lex Luthor trial for the Daily
Ooh.
Planet. And so he's like battling Lex Luthor as journalist Clark Kent, and he's having to balance
Mm.
those two things. Like that would be really fun to see.
It's a
And then he
cool
can get
idea.
like yelled at by Perry White for being late on a story, but it's because he had to go like stop Brainiac's army from blowing up a hospital or something. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I dig that. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. But Jimmy Olsen, being an accidental ladies' man, I thought was really funny, and I thought it was hilarious that his ex was Eve Tessmacher, and that's how they ended up exposing Lex's scheme. And then
Mhm.
it's like Lois has no leads at all, and then you see him, it's like, oh god. Then she immediately texts him back.
Yeah, I thought that was so funny. It's such a fun bit because he's like
Mhm.
so hesitant about the relationship the entire
Yeah.
movie, where
Uh
he's
huh.
like, anytime he's like, oh, I have to talk to her, or like when she's like, can we hang out for the whole weekend? And he's like, the
It's like.
whole weekend. like like it's such a chore to him, like he's having these
Uh huh.
existential crises every time he talks to her. It's like he's
Mm-hmm.
like it's kind of like he's debating in his mind, like what's more important to me, like the fate of this story and or the
World.
free world or my free time.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then when Lois calls her his hot ex girlfriend, he's like, "Huh?" Like he just doesn't.
It just
And
doesn't.
then it doesn't compute for him. But then the other like women in the Daily Planet office are like googly eyeing him as well early on, which is kind of funny. It's just like, um, yeah, it's just funny that he's like putting in no effort for this at all
Yeah.
and doesn't really understand what's going on. And then every woman around him is just fawning over him. I also love the bit towards the end when like everything's going to shit and all of Metropolis is evacuating, everybody's panicking, but Lois, Jimmy, and Perry are like totally calm and locked in, reviewing the details of like the news story, getting ready to go. I just
Hmm.
thought that was a cool representation of like investigative journalism. It's like, no, they this is important and they're ready to go and they're being professional and they're gonna like execute this story perfectly. I thought it was really neat.
Yeah, no, I loved that detail, and the actual representation of journalism in this movie,
Hmm.
I think, is very important, and it felt accurate too. And I think it's important for this to be on screen, especially in our modern era where we're all chronically
Mm-hmm.
online, and there's so much misinformation, and there's so many crazy people, and there's so many misrepresented facts and quotes. Um,
Yeah.
People love to do that, and these days it's just becoming, more increasingly distorted, misrepresented. I think it is
Mm-hmm.
important that people see this, because so many people, when they scroll social media, you see a post, you just kind of take it at face value, or most people do. They're like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, that was,
Mm-hmm.
I believe that makes sense to me.
Right.
And they'll share the information without even checking it to make sure that it's like
Mm-hmm.
factually accurate. Like, did you click on the
Yeah.
article? Did you actually like do a separate Google search to confirm that
Mm-hmm.
details or anything like that? So it's like,
Yeah.
it's I feel like it's very important. And then you look at this movie too, they had a great visual comparison where you see the journalism happening at Daily Planet,
Mm-hmm.
and then in the parallel universe, you have Lex's farm of monkeys spam posting on social media, and it's like night and day. They're
Yeah.
completely different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is like something that happens in the real world too. You can like pay for bot farms and stuff like that, or like spam accounts basically to just post, you know, and to change sentiment to make it seem like people are saying. So
Yeah.
guys like Joe Rogan can be like, "Oh, a buddy of mine told me that, vaccines are bad. I saw it online from all those people who are really concerned." It's like, "Oh, okay, man. That's
Oh,
cool."
great. Awesome.
Yeah.
glad you looked into that real deep there, dude.
Yeah,
But
but like if you are chronically online, as I am, like it's important to find voices that are trustworthy. Like if you're gonna get news from places like Twitter, that's fine, but find actual journalists who still break their stories on Twitter. Read their work, understand their perspective. Like don't just take everything that you see as credible. It's tempting to do that when you're in the like when you're just like scrolling through, you start to like treat everything as equally credible
yes.
subconsciously, and you have to really like lock in to not do that because it's
Hmm.
easy to slip into that. But
Yeah, and it's, it can be complicated to find the truth, and because people make it that way. So,
mhm.
good journalism is essential. It's something that we all need to do, or at least like look for. You need to look
Mhm.
for good journalism, people who are getting multiple sources, people who are like fact checking the details. Like,
Yeah.
that's what real journalism is. It's not just whataboutism or,
Mhm.
deflect. Like, that's not journalism. The one
Mhm.
thing that, since we're talking about the Daily Planet and the
Mhm.
public perceptions and everything like that, the one thing that I will say is that I feel like it the public perception of Superman in this movie
Mhm.
changes really quickly. It's like a 180, 180, 180. And
Yeah.
I think that was a little unrealistic, but also I'm willing to suspend my disbelief I'm watching a Superman
Right.
movie.
Yeah, it works for the drama of the film, and
Definitely.
also it sort of mirrors the real world journey of one writer director, James Gunn, if you recall,
That's
because
right.
remember he was very critical of Donald Trump during Trump won, and Mike Cernovich, one of these right wing monkeys that you know drums up outrage online, he dug up a bunch of old tweets from James Gunn where James Gunn was like being super edgy, trying to make jokes, I think, but like they were bad. The tweets were
Yeah.
very gross. But again, like from over a decade prior and clearly like meant to be sort of like I don't know. We were on the internet in that era. We remember what it was like. Some of our viewers may not, but it was a weird, gross, edgy place. And that's the type of jokes people made online. But all that is to say, Disney hit the fucking panic button and fired James Gunn from Marvel, which is how he ended up working at DC at all, and he made the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker. They brought him back to Marvel to make Guardians 3, which was good. Good of them,
Hmm.
but the way Superman's reputation is affected in this movie kind of has that same boomerang effect a
Yeah.
little bit, which is interesting.
It's fascinating. Yeah. But yeah, that maybe he just pulled a little bit from his own experience.
Yeah. But let's talk about the Justice Gang a
The
little bit.
Justice Gang.
I loved them. I thought they were so much fun. I think Mr. Terrific is probably the standout, and he gets a really, really great action scene. I've
Yes.
only seen this character before in Arrow, CW's Arrow. He is
Mm.
on it as like a supporting character. Is it Arrow or the Flash? I think it's Arrow. It's one of them. I'm pretty sure it's Arrow.
I'd never heard of him before,
hmm
and he was so cool. I loved it, and it's such a well learned sequence. Very cool action with the T
hmm
spheres going
Yeah, the T
around,
spheres. hmm
and just him kicking ass. It was really cool, and I'm glad that they cast this same actor here in this
Teddy
role.
Gathegi.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Because he was, correct me if I'm wrong, but he was a character in X-Men First Class,
X Men.
right?
Yes,
And he got
Darwin, the character who famously cannot die, who is the first one to die.
right. Yeah, he was like indestructible, and he dies instantly. It's like great. You got to come back and play another superhero because they were like, we're
hmm
not going to continue with those X-Men. We're not bringing you back. Sorry.
Yeah, well, apparently, I think he was talking in an interview recently, and he was told by Fox, because
Mm.
this was pre Disney X Men, this was back in the 2010s. He was told by Fox that they were going to bring him back for a later movie, um,
Oh.
because his character's name was Darwin. He adapts to survive, and then
Mm-hmm.
they played into the trope of, oh, the black guy dies first. Of course, that's like the horror movie trope that happens.
Yep.
And it is very cool that he's playing this character. I think he talked about how it was a lot of fun to make being like smart look cool to kids, and he has signed a 3 picture deal for DC. He said he doesn't know exactly what the nature of his roles are going to be, but he wants to like be a big part of it going forward, which would be
Cool.
really cool. And I think that's a fun thing about like James Gunn's affinity for like smaller and more obscure characters. It's like we're gonna get our big Justice League people, but also we'll have lesser known characters like a Mr. Terrific or like a Guy Gardner who is
Yeah.
not maybe not as obscure because he's a Green Lantern, but Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner was a ton of fun too.
So
Apparently in the
great.
comic books, yeah, apparently in the comic books, Guy Gardner is a complete blowhard, and Nathan
Mm-hmm.
Fillion really nails that energy
So
so
good.
well.
Yeah. He plays an asshole really well.
Mhm. But an asshole, but he still has like that heart of a hero as well. Like he's a dick, but he'll do the right thing eventually.
Yeah.
I do love that he leans on his oath as an excuse to not do anything he doesn't feel like doing though. Like what is it? It's like as a Green Lantern, I took a solemn vow to not get involved in politics.
It's like which part? But yeah,
Yeah.
he's such a cunt. I loved it.
Oh, he's great. I love Nathan Fillion. He'll always be like Malcolm Reynolds to me, first and foremost from Firefly, but he's
Mm-hmm.
so fun in everything he's in. He always turns up in James Gunn superhero stuff in a little
Yeah.
role. This was his biggest one, I think. But
I think so, yeah, if I'm remembering right. But yeah, he was great, and I loved Isabella Merced as Hawk
Merced,
Girl.
I think. hmm
Merced, sorry. But
Yeah.
she was fucking fierce. This I
hmm
loved this portrayal of Hawk Girl.
Yeah.
Um, like I just love how she just like is so unapologetically just like
hmm
herself. She just like, I'm just
Yeah.
gonna do me. Like, yeah, maybe I'll get involved, but I'm gonna read the newspaper. And then she's like, just fucking kills the leader of Arabia. Like she's a superhero, but she has her own
Uh huh.
values, and she doesn't subscribe to that don't kill rule. And I love her
Yeah.
for that.
It was so she's Dina in The Last of Us, and she
Oh
was
yeah, that's why
also
she looked familiar.
yeah, and she also she played there was a like a live action Dora the Explorer movie a couple years back, and she's Dora in that. But
Cool.
after this movie came out, someone tweeted out just like pretending to be shocked. They're like, did Dora the Explorer just kill the Prime Minister of Israel?
Wouldn't that be a godsend?
But yeah, I'd say she gets like aside from killing the leader of Bravia, she gets of those three probably the least characterization and the least to do. I'm excited to see more of her. I think
Yeah.
both I think in at least a small role, both she and Guy Gardner are in Peacemaker season 2. Because in the teaser we see Peacemaker auditioning for the Justice Gang. Um, and they're like they and Sean Gunn's character Maxwell Lord, who is their bankroller, they're like guy who's in charge of them, are like behind the glass, and they forget to mute their mics as he's like auditioning, and are like shit talking him.
That's
um
really funny.
yeah, one thing actually that the movie doesn't really touch on much, but they do mention that the Justice Gang is like sponsored by Lord Tech. Sean Gunn's character, you see him at the end when he's like, "Oh, the one thing
Hmm.
liberals and conservatives can agree on is that Lex Luthor sucks." It's like Maxwell Lord is, I don't know, I think he's like another like super rich businessman type in the DC universe. He's Pedro Pascal's character from Wonder Woman 1984. Um,
Oh.
but it's interesting that the Justice Gang is like bankrolled by this guy, and I'm wondering how that's going to play in the future, like because they're kind of like a corporate superhero team right now, and you get to
Yeah.
see the Hall of Justice is being built, or like being finalized as they're in there, which is kind of fun. Eventually, the Justice League operates out of that, I think.
With the slow
But
garage door.
yeah, that was really funny. um, yeah, one of the things, ironically, considering the politics of the movie, the most controversial thing about it seems to be the Jor-El and Lara-El reveal. We
Mm,
find out they sent him with a message, like they always do, but the
of
second half of the
course.
message is corrupted, and Clark like never hears it until Lex Luthor and his team kind of like fix it and decrypt it, and it turns out that the Kryptonian parents are not as benevolent as we are used to seeing them, and Clark is sent to Earth, at least in part, because humanity is weak enough for him to rule over them and have a harem of women,
Hmm.
basically, to repopulate Krypton on this weaker planet. And this sparked a lot of
Right.
controversy amongst some fans. How do you feel about it?
I really liked this change,
Mm-hmm.
honestly. I think it's a clever way to um, add more layers to the
Mm-hmm.
story, and especially more layers to Superman's character too. It feels a
Yeah.
little eerily similar to Invincible to a certain degree, you know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Um,
With
but I
the
still think it's a really
Viltrumite Empire.
exactly like Jor-El and Laura-El. They did not seem as bad as the Viltrumites. Like they weren't expanding an empire, from my
Mm-hmm.
understanding. They were just like, oh yeah, Krypton's done. Sun, go start our empire somewhere else. Um, but they could have gotten there. They could have gotten to the Viltrumite level eventually, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? But I think it's a really smart creative decision because I think it illustrates how um, personal values and beliefs develop over time. I
Mm-hmm.
think everyone, we are kind of imprinted on by our parents. We're guided by our parents.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of copy them a lot for the first several years of our life, for a long time there.
Yeah.
And, you hold a lot of the beliefs that your parents do and your
Mm-hmm.
caretakers and your siblings and stuff. Like it just kind of like they imprint it on you, and then you soak that up. But values and beliefs change over time. And just because your family holds certain beliefs or values, it doesn't mean you need to hold them as well. Like your
Mm-hmm.
boomer uncle may have taught you some great things about equality and freedom growing up, but maybe you didn't see, or maybe you don't agree with him on certain moral panics that make him
Yeah.
angry. Like
Mm-hmm.
maybe he gets really angry about Hispanics or African Americans
Yeah.
or something, and it's like,
Yeah,
hey, I
maybe
don't
his
agree with
views
that.
on equality are a little less equal than he made it seem like when you were a kid.
Exactly, exactly. You get to choose your own values, and you
Mhm.
get to adopt other ones over time. You can say, that's not as important to me over time, and so I think it's a good creative decision to have them like that, Jor-El and Laura-El, because then
Mhm.
we really do know that Superman's making these decisions on his own, and what he's deciding, life is valuable to me. I want to be the
Mhm.
protector. I'm not going to do what my parents told me.
Right. Yeah, I was okay with it too because it both emphasizes Clark's morality from himself and his own actions, which
Yes.
is something that Jonathan Kent tells him when he's like at his lowest point, right? It's like the parents aren't meant to tell you who you're supposed to be or what you're supposed to do. We give you the tools and then you make a fool of yourself all on your own. Like we're
Mm-hmm.
building a foundation. You have to do the work. So I liked it for that reason, but then it also draws some contrast between his Kryptonian parents and his Earth parents. And it's interesting that they're not like similarly moral. You know, they have very different values and perspectives, and that could be very interesting. I'd be intrigued to maybe see a bit more of Jor-El and Laura-El down the line, like either maybe we get a Krypton flashback later on, or maybe it's revealed that they are like constructs that can have
Mm,
conversations with him like they are in a lot of Superman media. Like he unlocks that and we can maybe get more insight into their perspective that humanizes them a little bit more. Like because to them, you know, this Earth planet is nothing. It's just like a distant rock far away that they know nothing about other than the species there is weaker under the yellow sun than a Kryptonian would be. But maybe within the context of Kryptonian society, they are like bastions of morality, like they typically are, I think, or typically are closer to. Like
mm-hmm.
if General Zod, for example, ever shows up, like we'll want to have some contrast between the type of man General Zod is versus the type of man Jor-El was, because they, I believe, are always, I think, maybe always, maybe not always, but like rivals on Krypton. Um,
That was my
so
understanding. Yeah.
yeah, so we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. And a thought just popped in my head too. Like, if they wanted to bring Jor-El and Morel back,
Hmm.
maybe Krypton never blew up, and they're still alive, and they just thought they were gonna die, and so they set their kid off, and maybe they
Hmm.
reconnect, and that could be a whole point of conflict down the line. But
That would be
I'm
a pretty
also
big change.
that would be a big change. They probably
Yeah.
won't do that.
Yeah, well, I think we might see more of not Krypton, but a piece of Krypton with Supergirl in
Yeah.
flashbacks because we do get a Supergirl cameo played by Millie Alcock from House of the Dragon, and immediately sold on her casting. By the
So
way,
great. So
fucking
great.
fucking perfect. But the difference between Superman and Supergirl is Kal-El is sent away from Krypton as a baby, and he grows up entirely on Earth. But Kara is usually like 12 or 13 when Krypton blows up. So she
Mm,
grew up there and she has a little bit more of an edge and is a bit angrier because she has seen her world die, not just once, because in a lot of versions of the comic, the city she lives in, her parents are able to preserve it for a little while
mm-hmm.
longer. So Krypton is blown up, but Argo City survives, and then a couple years after that it starts to like destabilize, and so she sees her parents and Argo City get destroyed just a couple years after seeing Krypton get destroyed.
Oof.
And the reason she's younger than Superman though is she is in some versions sent to Earth to protect him as a baby, but she gets like knocked into a time vortex or something or whatever. So when she arrives on Earth, Clark has already grown up and become Superman, and so
Mm,
he is older than her at that point.
okay.
But yeah,
That'll be interesting to see.
also Jor-El is Bradley Cooper.
That was unexpected. I did not have that on my 2025 bingo card.
Hmm.
But
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
Laura L is, I forget her name, but she's Clementine in Westworld, one of the
oh yeah,
courtesans.
yeah, she's she's good in that. I liked her in this too.
Yeah. Um, yeah. Anything else on them before we move on?
No, I think yeah, we can move on. Let's
Cool.
talk about Baravia versus Jarhunpur.
Jarhunpor. Yeah. So I was very surprised. I was concerned from the trailer because we see the little kid with the Superman flag calling out for Superman, and I'm always a little worried when American directors are like, "I'm going to talk about the Middle East in my superhero movie."
Yeah.
um, we see it done very poorly with actual Israel and Palestine in Wonder Woman 1984. Um, important context for that, Gal Gadot was in the IDF, so she carries with her a very specific perspective on that issue.
Yeah.
And the politics of that movie on that issue is horrendous. But in this movie, Baravia and Jaranpur are pretty blatant parallels for Israel and Palestine, respectively, with Baravia, and there's some hints of like Russia as well for
Yeah.
Baravia in the accents and the architecture. But like the big thing for me is Baravia is repeatedly called out as an important American ally in the region.
Yep.
Um, and they are committing genocidal atrocities to their neighbor of largely unarmed civilians, including pointing guns at unarmed children. Um, the image and obviously the movie was written, I think, for the most part before October 7th of 2023 when the current iteration of the genocide started, but like the genocide of Palestinians has been going on since 1948 and the Nakba, and this imagery of this sequence at the end reminded me specifically of the 2018 to 2019 Great March of Return, a largely peaceful demonstration at the Gaza border fence by Palestinians. You can look up imagery of this event and put it side by side with this sequence, and
Mm.
you'll be like,
Hmm.
okay, yeah, I see it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And the president of Moravia, like, kind of visually resembles a more slovenly version of David Ben Gurion, the first prime minister of Israel. So, honestly, the just like huge props to James Gunn and company for not doing some sort of like both sides are bad thing with this and having Superman and all of the other heroic characters take a pretty firm stance. Like
Yes.
they're like we said earlier, Hawk Girl kills the president of Moravia. She throws him
Yeah.
to the ground.
Oh,
Ugh.
it's pretty great.
Mhm.
Yeah, I feel like there's so many other directors who would have come into this movie and would have folded and said, "No, we should make it more two-sided. Like it can't just be,
Mhm.
you know, considering the geopolitics of the time, it's like
Mhm.
I feel like a lot of people would shy away from that being so um, um upfront, honestly. Like, I
Mhm.
mean, this depiction, it's like, yeah, it's really hard to see another way that you can interpret this. Like, you could make a parallel of like, yeah, this could be like Russia invading Ukraine if you want to
Mhm.
get into that, but like the Israel Palestine parallel is so much more in focus here. It's so much
Yeah.
easier to like recognize
Mhm.
because yeah, it's pretty on the nose and
Yeah.
it's yeah.
Yes, but I think like the important thing too, and James Gunn, of course, will deny that this is a specific reference to this, as I'm sure he is required to do by Warner Brothers. But
Yes.
whether or not the specific allusion was intentional or not, it doesn't really matter because the audience is recognizing it. And it is recognizing that, and we are recognizing the movie bothered to take a stance on the issue. And
Yes.
it's one, it's indicative of the movie having the guts to do that, but two, it's also indicative of like the changing political climate where like American audiences can see a militant faction like doing horrible violence and be like, oh yeah, that's Israel. Like
Against unarmed civilians? Who else could it be? Well, the
yeah.
U.S. probably, but
Yeah, ultimately what Israel does is America as well.
yeah,
Like it's
they're an extension of us.
mhm.
It's a little on the nose, but overall, I'm
Yeah.
okay with it. I think it's
Mhm.
it's it's appropriate, and it's not exactly like the central part of the movie. Like it's certainly a
Right.
plot. It's a
Mhm.
big part of the plot, but like the overall movie is like Superman versus Lex Luthor and all that
Exactly.
stuff.
And this is just part of Lex Luthor's scheme. He's gonna
Hmm.
like split the land. It's like there's gonna be like new Baravia and then like Luthertopia or whatever it's he calls it.
Yeah.
Um but what has been very funny in the discourse about this since then has just been watching Israel supporters and Zionists more broadly like lose their minds over this. Like Ben Shapiro had a fucking meltdown about it. Beitar, which is like classified as a hate group, a pro-Israel hate group, wrote a fucking like effort post tweet about it, and it's like huh, well, the film doesn't specifically mention you guys
Hmm.
at all, but it's really interesting how quickly you're identifying with the militant nation aiming guns at unarmed children. Like, maybe that says something. I don't know. I'm not going to say anything, but maybe that is saying something about how you feel and what you're doing.
Yeah, it's kind of if you can recognize if you can recognize your country in one of these countries, that's that's a red flag
Yeah.
about your
Well, it's that
ideologies.
people kept sharing that fucking meme from Euphoria where it's like the United States and Israel watching Superman. It's like the girls in the audience being like, "Is this fucking play about us?" but
Oh God.
s- but like about Superman's involvement in this specifically and how it relates to like real world political action, I think. It's because Superman suffers consequences to his reputation as a result of taking action to defend the people of Jaranpur. But he maintains that he did the right thing because he saved innocent people's lives. And he's ultimately vindicated, and he ends up inspiring other characters less initially sure about interfering to step in when he can't be there himself at the end. And I think that is the important political message of the movie, is that you like Superman is not just a good person. He is a symbol of hope. And him taking direct action and putting his reputation on the line to protect the people who can't protect themselves leads others to do the same. And while you and I and everyone else are not Superman and cannot do that to that degree, I think if you are willing to stand up and do the right thing, stand on principle, take the risk, stand up against injustice, you give permission for other people to do it too, and then the cause will grow.
Hmm.
Because even in the world of the movie, Superman cannot be everywhere all the time. The other heroes need to step up, and this is probably like what will eventually lead to the Justice League and all the other heroes like doing their thing. But that's how movements grow in the real world too. It starts with people being willing to take that first step publicly and stand on principle. And then it makes it safer for everybody else to do it too. And
Hmm.
then there's the safety in numbers eventually. But Superman's the first to do it, and he inspires the others too. I think
Yeah,
that's key to what works about this element.
absolutely. It's very powerful. And you hit it square on the head there, Dylan.
Mm-hmm. And we've been gushing about the movie for a while. I do have a couple negatives though, and I think you do as well. Um, I
Yeah.
some of the secondary villains, really, that's the weak part for me. Ultraman, Ultraman
Mm,
being a clone, it just didn't really land for me for whatever reason,
okay.
which is odd because I'm not even sure what would have been a satisfying reveal for that. Um, I was like waiting when you see his mask like breaking. I'm like, okay, what's it going to be? Because some people thought it was going to be Henry Cavill under there, which I think the mistake there
Okay.
would have been it would have been very distracting,
Yes.
if that was the case. And I also don't love how Clark is so concerned with protecting life the rest of the movie, but he doesn't even seem a little bit upset when a clone of himself is knocked into a black hole.
Yeah, that part's a little weird. He just doesn't really
Yeah,
care.
yeah, it's sort of the opposite of an issue I had with Man of Steel. Like in that film, Superman at the end, he has to snap Zod's neck, and it's because Superman really doesn't kill people that often. I think he probably does at some point, but it like like he snaps Zod's neck and he's really sad. And that's fine. But the problem is the film doesn't really show us how important not killing is to Superman leading up to that, um, because he's like punching Zod through buildings. He's like getting out of the way of explosive trucks as they fly into office buildings.
Hmm.
And he's never put in a situation earlier in the movie where he has to like make a decision about whether to kill someone or not. Like we can infer he's a good guy. He doesn't want to kill people, but the movie's job is to like teach us. Like in the sequel trilogy Rewind, when we're talking about how like we see Chewie's bowcaster shoot those people multiple times, so we understand what happens when you get
Hmm.
hit by it. That movie didn't do that. This film does, but then he doesn't really mind when Ultraman gets knocked into a black hole. So it's like you laid the groundwork, but you didn't execute on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that. I totally agree with it too because they
Mhm.
make such a big effort in this movie to show Superman's trying to protect people. He saves the
Yeah.
squirrel for God's
Mhm.
sakes. Like we already mentioned that.
Yeah.
Like he stops that monster from hitting a building, and then he
I
turns around.
love
And he's like,
that.
"Everybody okay? Anybody
Mhm.
hurt? Okay, good."
Yeah.
And then he goes off to fight the monster some more, and it's like
Yeah.
that's exactly what Superman is. And
It's so charming when because
yeah,
he punches it first, which knocks it into the building, and then he goes around and like saves it. It's but even the monster, he wants to save the monster too. He was like, we could like study it in an intergalactic zoo or something.
yeah, figure out something to do with it. Yeah, like I didn't mind Ultraman, and I'm also kind of mad at myself for not seeing the reveal coming sooner.
Yeah.
Like when it happened, I was like, oh, like it was. I thought they did a good job of masking it really well.
Hmm.
I should have put two and two together earlier, where Lex Luthor was like, "Well, I made him," and it's like,
Yeah.
how did you make him? And
Hmm.
he's the same power as Superman. I should have connected those dots earlier, but like
Well, and the Fortress of Solitude opens for him. That's how they get
exactly, like
in. Which,
there's
yeah, it's like,
there's so many clues that it's just like it's a face palm moment where you're just like, God
hmm
damn it. Or at least it was for me. It's like other
yeah.
people probably saw it coming, but I didn't.
Hmm. Yeah, like it works fine, and maybe this guy eventually comes back as Bizarro, which could be kind of fun because I think Bizarro is like a clone of Superman that Lex Luthor tried to make that doesn't work out perfectly. So maybe he
Yeah.
gets like a little like grossified over in the black hole and comes back as Bizarro. That could be
Yeah.
kind of fun.
I also like I think one of the things I would have liked to see, going back to your point about him falling into the hole, and just
Hmm.
being gone forever. I kind of wish there was more of a push by Superman to connect with Ultraman or befriend him or free him from
Hmm.
the
Yeah.
spell of Lex Luthor. Like he should have like put in more of an effort there to be like, no, we
Hmm.
don't have to fight, kind of stuff like that. Like you don't have to listen to Lex, but it is what it is.
Right. Yeah, it's fine. And then the other secondary villain, the engineer, just kind of meh, just fine. Nothing wrong with her necessarily, but we just don't really have. There's just not much going on. Apparently she sacrificed her humanity to be this machine person, but we don't really know why she does what she does or why would she do that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I think
it's
maybe
fine.
there was like a throwaway line, like when they were in the Fortress of Solitude, where she's like, "Oh, like I'm here to help kill Superman for you for some reason," and
Hmm.
it's really glossed over. But yeah, it's like more of a throwaway line, so we don't get much with her. That's like the rationale for why she did the things that she did. But
Hmm.
I liked her overall. I would say I think
Yeah.
she's kind of a good antagonistic force for Superman,
Hmm.
especially with the suffocation element. I thought that was
Yeah.
really good. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, I agree. Not much there overall.
Yeah. It's not the end of the world. And it's okay. Like ultimately they're just henchmen for Lex. And it's fine that they're like that. I do love the when Lex is presenting at the Pentagon, he has Ultraman like hit the little light switch in the
Yeah.
background when the presentation's done. But
Oh, that's great.
speaking of Lex Luthor, a truly magnificent hater. Like
Yes.
the reveal that he involved himself in a regional war specifically so that he could develop an excuse to kill Superman. So unhinged. I love it. Nicholas Holt really nails this character, I think. He's
Oh, so good.
he's truly evil, very self-righteous and just insanely petty. It's great.
Yeah, he's so good in this role. Like this honestly might be my favorite interpretation of Lex Luthor that
Hmm.
I've seen so far on screen.
Yeah.
Um like nothing against what they did in um Batman v Superman.
Hmm.
Um but like this was very memorable to me. Like he's incredibly calculated. He uses his
Hmm.
resources so methodically. Like he's been studying
Yeah.
Superman for months and months and months, and so he's been
Hmm.
able to determine like, okay, what are the best counters? Like I know what his punches are going to be, what moves he's going to do, so this is the
Hmm.
counter, and he developed a whole playbook for it. Like that attention to
Right.
detail is so good. I really
Hmm.
really did enjoy. Nicholas Hoult here.
Yeah, I think to the it, like it really doesn't shy away from making him repulsively evil too. Like when he kills the falafel vendor
Mm,
in his prison, like it's just so evil. It's so evil, and it's such a genuinely sad moment because that guy is in the movie earlier, and he comes over and he helps Superman up, and he ate from his like cart earlier. It's James Gunn is good at that. He's good at just planting enough of those little seeds for those side characters for you to really feel something when you lose them. And yeah.
yeah, definitely agreed. And yeah, Lex, his whole thing, he's like, he just wants to beat Superman because he just
Mhm.
really can't stand the idea of someone else being like above him.
Uh-huh.
He wants to be king. He wants more power, and he'll do anything he can to
Mhm.
eliminate the threat of Superman and gain more power. And that includes helping fascists secure more power. That includes committing treason. That includes killing innocents.
Mhm.
Doesn't that sound familiar
Oh
with
my
some people?
god. Yeah, like ultimately he's a xenophobic loser, which of course puts him at odds with Superman, who's an immigrant and a refugee from another planet. Like his hatred for Superman is that Superman is a beloved figure and an alien. Like he even
Hmm.
mentions how he hates the metahumans, but that Superman is way worse because he's like from a different planet. And he's just yeah, he's a bigot ultimately. He's a rich bigot. Um
Yes.
but let's transition and talk about Superman himself. I think David Cornsweet is a really excellent Superman. Just nails the character across the board.
Oh yeah. Like I think he's fantastic. He does good with the comedic delivery of lines. Like
Hmm.
yeah, the actor did a fantastic job, and I really really liked how corny he is too. Like he's
Hmm.
probably the corniest character in the entire movie. Like there were multiple moments. I don't know if you caught all of them. Like I definitely didn't, but like he says like "gosh" or "darn" or
Yeah.
"golly," and it's
What
like
the
it's
hey, man?
yeah, it's like it's so corny. It's like oh, that's
Hmm.
exactly what he would say like back in the '60s, or
Hmm.
whenever he was.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. He's very charming, and he nails the difference between like reporter Clark Kent and Superman as well. It's important to have that like distinction in how he carries himself and how he speaks, and he really transitions smoothly between them in the interview scene. I love when he like sort of sits up all proper. He's like Miss Slane at the
Hmm.
start of it,
Yeah,
and he's like before he like starts breaking down and not having fun with it anymore.
yeah, gets into character, and we've already mentioned it a lot on this episode, but I really like how much this Superman is committed to
Hmm.
protecting others
Yeah.
too. This was definitely prevalent in the Zack Snyder version, but not so much, especially when they're punching each other through buildings and
Yeah.
he's not really thinking about like, oh, how do I protect the civilians here? Like
Hmm.
this Superman, he takes the time to ask people if they're okay after nearly dying, and he consistently
Yeah.
values the lives of others. Like when he saves that woman and brings her up on top of the roof and drops her off. He's like, "Are you okay? Are you fine?"
Hmm.
Like, okay, I gotta go. Thank you. It's just like
Yeah.
he obviously cares about people, and I love that.
Right. That part specifically too reminded me of the original Spider-Man when Peter drops MJ off on the roof and
Mm,
then kind of runs off to go back to do Spider-Man things. Because a lot of people are like, "Why'd he drop her off on the roof when there's like a monster battle happening right over there?" It's like I think it was referencing the Spider-Man scene, maybe not, but
maybe.
yeah. But I think too the big thing. I think a lot of people misunderstand the point being made when we talk about how like the ending of Man of Steel bothers me because of like the death and destruction element. And there's death and destruction in this movie and a lot of these other movies too. But it doesn't bother me. And I don't even think they need to go as far as they do in this movie and in like Avengers 2, where they like evacuate all the people from the city and stuff like that. And they do that in the Justice League as well. Um, I don't think they need to go that far. The distinction is in presentation. It's in what you choose to highlight and the tone you're going for. The
Mm,
reason I don't love the ending of Man of Steel is because it is a grittier, darker take, which is fine, but we have an extended sequence of like hundreds of people's bodies being like elevated into the air and then slammed into the ground over and over again as
Yeah.
the machine is like building up, and then like Superman saves Lois Lane and they kiss in the rubble of what looks like 50 9/11s. It's like, well, this just feels tonally inappropriate for you to be
Yeah.
doing this in this scene. Whereas in this, it's like, yeah, a lot of people could die in these big battles, but one, it's presented in a lighter tone, so it doesn't feel as dire. We see the heroes like, attempting to do damage control and saving people. And then
Mhm.
also another fun element is like, for the people in this world, it's like, oh, this type of stuff just happens all the time. Like, there's a kaiju battle happening in downtown, and there's the guy in his TV shop, like in that square, and he's just watching it
Right.
happen out his window. Like, it's on all of his TVs, and then his storefront gets broken, and he's just like sipping his coffee, watching the battle. And then there's the glowing monster later on when Lois and Superman are talking before he goes to save Crypto. And then she's like, "Oh, were you out helping them with that?" And he's like, "Oh no, it's just an interdimensional imp thing. They got that under control. That's fine."
No,
Uh,
they don't need me.
and they're just like, you see the Justice Gang battling it in the background while they're having a conversation about their relationship and the dog. Like, it's great.
So good. Yeah.
Yeah. But I loved the visual style of the movie too. I was a little iffy on some of the visuals in the trailers. Some of the effects didn't look quite right at the time to me, and the style looked, my feelings on it fluctuated. But watching the movie in the theater, everything looked great. I thought it
Yeah.
was a great look for the movie. It felt very comic booky, which these should,
Yes.
Um,
100% agree.
I liked Crypto as well, an unruly
Crypto, ah,
dog.
I'm so happy that they included crypto because it's such an absurd concept.
Hmm.
And it's just like, yeah, let's just lean into it and just have this like dog that has been very poorly trained flying around and causing mayhem. It's like
Yeah,
this is a fun little element. More of that,
I love.
please.
Yeah, I love how Mr. Terrific at the end is like, "You brought the dog? What the hell, man?" He's like, "I didn't want it killing my parents' cows."
Oh,
I
it's
also
perfect.
ugh. I also love the joke where like Lois is like giving Guy Gardner shit for not being discreet enough about Superman's secret identity, and then and then she's like, "God, he's got to stop telling everybody about who he is." And he's like, "He doesn't tell everybody, just us, because we're fellow members of the cloth." And then she's like, "What?" And he's like, and points to his suit.
Do you not see?
Yeah. Any other sort of miscellaneous final thoughts on the movie?
No, I don't think so. But I mean, yeah, what do you want to see next from Superman and the DCU from here?
So we know what's coming up already, and we'll get into that in a second. But James Gunn has alluded to like maybe the next thing isn't a direct sequel, and honestly, I would love just a basic direct Superman sequel at some point down the road. I'd love to see more of the Daily Planet stuff, and I'd love to see more of the just Superman fighting a guy. And failing that, if it has to be some sort of team up, the best candidate would be team him up with Supergirl. And
Yeah.
then you can keep, because Supergirl is the next thing coming out, I think, or the next movie at least
Mm.
is Supergirl. So I think that would make the most sense if you're gonna do any sort of team up. It's like team them up, and then you can keep it kind of like Kryptonian and Metropolis focused. I don't want to see another team up with Batman for a while. But I will say more and more every day, I do want Robert Pattinson's Batman to be folded into this. I
Yeah.
could see, and I know I understand the criticism or the pushback of like they're tonally so different from each other. But one, James Gunn has said that the tone of Superman is not going to be the tone of the franchise. Every film will have whatever tone and style is appropriate for it, which
Good.
is what I've wanted to see from Marvel for a long time, right? And I would love if like the Batman movies have their own like tone that we know is established.
Mm-hmm.
Superman has this, and then when they meet up, you get like a bit of a tonal clash between the two of them. and that can
Yeah.
be a fun thing to play with for that director,
Yeah.
um but what
I see
about
that
you?
working.
What are you hoping to see more of in the franchise?
I want more original ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Um, James Gunn's good at that, and I want him to embrace that more. Like we talked about, him bringing some of these lesser known DC characters
Mm-hmm.
up, like Polka Dot Man,
Right.
um, Mr. Terrific here. Like, why not lean into that more and kind of
Mm-hmm.
embrace like the quirky, weird characters from way back in the heyday of DC Comics? And it's like, yeah, why
Mm-hmm.
don't you not bring in some fucking weird ideas and something
Yeah.
that's just original? Like, I don't really want to see like another Wonder Woman movie, at least not for a long time. Um, but like I'm some of the other things that they've got like slated, like the Lanterns TV show
Mm-hmm.
and the Peacemaker season 2,
Yeah.
Supergirl, Clayface. Like, sure, I'm gonna watch all of that because that sounds fun. That sounds original. That sounds um, unique in their own ways, and I think that's
Mm-hmm.
exactly what this franchise needs to
Yeah.
continue doing.
Yeah, well, I will say, Wonder Woman has been fast tracked. Apparently, they have not cast Wonder Woman yet, but
Okay.
fan fan favorite castings are Adria Arjona, Bix from Andor, um,
Mm-hmm.
Melissa Barrera, and then Charlie Frazier, who was Furiosa's mom from the beginning of Furiosa. Those are the three names I'm seeing like circulated the most. Honestly, any of those three would be a lot of fun. I think like there's a lot more potential for weirdness with Wonder Woman than you would expect. Like
Okay.
I think and if they get the right director and the right writer, one thing I like about Gunn's approach is that he said no movie is going into development until we have a script we're happy with, which
Good.
is the opposite of Marvel because right now they're shooting Doomsday and they don't know what the third act is yet. So that's
What?
great, man. Yeah.
Okay.
um,
Fine.
so yeah, but yeah, I want to see more like weird characters. I want to
Mm-hmm.
see who the new Wonder Woman is. I'm curious what their Justice League is going to look like. Um, my concern is they want to get to a cadence where they have two movies, a TV show, and some animated projects every year. And that feels like a lot. I don't want them to have a case of like Marvelitis where the amount of projects ends up, oversaturating and, leaving the general audience behind and also creating a situation where the projects are rushed.
Yeah.
Um, so fingers crossed. I don't know. We'll see. But things we have next on the docket that we know about. The Lanterns TV show that you alluded to seems to
Mm-hmm.
be more of a grounded take. It has both Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart in it. Those are the two other big Green Lanterns. Apparently, Nathan Fillion's Guy Gardner is in it as well. I'm
Cool.
gonna be I'm gonna be curious to see how tonally that adjusts with him because he's kind of a goofball. Um,
Yeah.
but then we got Peacemaker season 2, which should be a lot of fun. I'm curious how they're gonna handle Peacemaker jumping universes into the
Yeah.
new franchise. But I think that's gonna be part of season 2's narrative. Also, that was a fun cameo. He shows up
Yes.
about halfway through Superman. That was pretty fun. Um, then we got Supergirl, and I we'll talk about it in a little bit, but that is, I think, largely adapting the comic book Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, which is a very different type of story from what the Superman movie is. It's like a space road trip movie, so
Mm.
that should be fun.
Cool.
Or space road
I'm
trip
into it.
comic. And then Clayface, written by Mike Flanagan, who wrote The Haunting of Hill House and Bly Manor and Midnight Mass. So that should be
Ooh.
interesting. It's going to be an
Okay.
R-rated horror movie.
Hell yeah. I'm into
So
that.
yeah. Um, but yeah, you got anything else on Superman, or should we move on to other stuff?
Nah, let's move on to other stuff.
All right, what have you been up to?
Yeah, so a lot of things actually. Um, Continuing on with RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars
Mm-hmm.
season 10.
Nice.
We're coming up to the finale here. Yeah, I'm very interested to see how it pans out, and with all these very flamboyant queens. Um, it's a fun show. I'm liking it.
Hmm.
It's a different format this year. Um, I swear to God, I am almost done with Last of Us. I just have one more episode, and then I'll have some more solid thoughts on it. I just
Hmm.
things keep getting in the way, and also The Sopranos keep getting in the way because I started to rewatch The Sopranos.
You just watched it.
I know. I finished it like within the past year, and I'm like, there was just a calling in me where I was just like, I need to, I need this shit back in my life, and
That's so funny, man.
it's such a good show. Like
Hmm.
I've got, I've got so many thoughts on all the characters. Um, so I'll have to create some content on that one day.
Yeah.
For the people who still watch it. Um, I also we rewatched little movie called Anchorman: The Legend of Ron Burgundy recently. Um, I think it was 2004, 2003, something like that.
That's when the
So
first one came out, I think. Anchorman 2 is much newer.
yeah,
Hold
Anchorman 2
on.
was like 2013. I looked it up and I was like, wow, I can't
Yeah.
believe it was that long ago. It feels more recent to me.
Hmm.
Um, the first one, it still has many funny moments. I'll say that.
Yeah.
There's still some very great
Oh, you
bits.
watched the first one. I'm sorry. I was thinking.
Yes, that's what I meant to say.
Okay.
Um, the first one still has many great bits and some good
Hmm.
moments, but it's time has not been kind to it. It's becoming very dated and a little
Hmm.
problematic. I mean, the movie was always like very sexist in a lot of
It's
ways.
raunchy. Yeah.
Yeah, raunchy, but like that was part of the point of it, you know, because it's like
Yeah.
Ron
It's about
versus
it's about newsmen in the 70s, and like his sexism is like part of the story. Yeah.
exactly. It's very integral to the story. So like,
Hmm.
yeah, that's always been part of it. But like, yeah, at one point, like I don't know if you remember, but during like the news team fights with all the
Uh-huh.
different news teams, Ben Stiller plays the lead anchor for the
Yes, you're right.
Mexican like
You're right. Yeah,
news
he
team. So he's doing like an accent and like he's got
uh-huh.
like the appearance and everything. It's like, oh
Do they do
no.
do they do brown face on him? Like, did
No,
they
not
do brown?
really. Like
No, okay,
maybe a
well that's good.
little bit of tanning, but like
Uh-huh.
he's got the mustache and everything. It's like,
Yeah.
oh no, Ben, this isn't good. this,
Yeah.
this part's not very good, but whatever. It was a movie of
Yeah.
its time.
Of its time, and it's still very funny, but
Yes, there's still many funny moments. That whole fight is just hilarious. So I can overlook the problematic elements
mhm.
for a moment. I also watched the Darjeeling Limited,
Okay.
which is a Wes Anderson film. It's like 2003,
Mm.
if I remember right. It's about three brothers
Oh,
who
that's
like
right. You were talking about that
reconnect
Mhm.
on this train ride through India. Like they're on a
Mhm.
spiritual discovery. Like their dad just died, and they're all just kind of reconnecting. It's great. I loved
Yeah.
it. Like I think it's like when you ask like a lot of like Wes Anderson fans, like which is your favorite movie? It's usually like
Mhm.
Grand Budapest Hotel, Royal Tenenbaums, or this movie.
Okay.
And we just watched The Phoenician Scheme the other week,
Mhm.
and I think I just want to add a note to
Okay.
my review of it because I think The Phoenician Scheme is great,
Yeah.
but I think the Darjeeling Limited is 1,000 times better than The Phoenician Scheme. And
Okay.
here's why. Here's my theory of why it's better. It's because it's a smaller focus. It's a
Mhm.
smaller cast. Like it's not a very sprawling ensemble. Like
Okay.
it's not like you have a Bill Murray is in it, but he's only in it for like a scene. But like
Yeah.
it's not like you have Bryan Cranston and Tom Hanks and Scarlett
Mhm.
Johansson and Willem Dafoe. Like it's just like three like big names really, and then you have a lot of supporting actors and everything.
Mhm.
But like it's the crux of the story is just these three characters
Okay.
together, and we just stay with them like the whole time. And I think the Phoenician Scheme is a little too broad.
Mhm.
Like the cast is there's too many places to go. It's a little too structured, I think,
Okay.
too. Just compared to that other movie, because
Yeah.
like I still like the Phoenician Scheme, but like the Darjeeling Limited is just like yeah, like it's not like we have like chapter one, chapter two, chapter three, or we have to go here,
Mhm.
here, here, here. It's like no, it's it's kind of more go at your own pace. Like we're going
Okay.
through this together, and it doesn't need to be very structured. And so maybe just Wes Anderson's gotten like a little too Wes Anderson over the years, and
Mm.
that's fine.
Do you think it's maybe his ensemble is made up of too many famous actors now? Like the characters that they meet throughout the Phoenician scheme, like maybe 10 years ago, would have been lesser known actors that wouldn't have stood out as much, and maybe that's the change.
Maybe, yeah, I could see that being a little bit of it. And like the movie isn't perfect by any means.
Hmm.
Like I feel like it uses like uh or it like what's the word I'm looking for? If I can't find a better word, I'm just gonna say fetishize. Like it
Okay.
kind of fetishizes like India and the
Hmm.
spirituality there. Like it just kind of like uses those people in that way, and like
Yeah.
as just like kind of this tool to elevate your own spiritualism. It's like that part's a
Hmm.
little weird in the movie, but like
Right.
overall, it's really good. I really like the
Okay.
movie, and I think it is just like the focus. It was just on like
Hmm.
these brothers and their adventures, and yes, they're side characters, but they're there throughout, and they don't take
Okay.
up a lot of space. And I feel like Phoenician Scheme, there's a lot of people in a very short amount of time.
Gotcha. Well,
um, and then last thing for me, I've started reading Dune,
nice.
and yeah, I'm not very far into it so far, but I'm liking it. It's really cool to just be like, oh yeah, I remember what that is. I know what the Bene Gesserit is.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, this is really cool. Like the
Hmm.
whole test of him putting his finger in and everything, and
The
um,
Gom Jobber.
the Gom Jobber. That's right, the Gom Jabbar. Um, however you pronounce it. I'm liking it so far.
Hmm.
It's very rich. Um, what about you? What have you been up to, Dylan?
I went to see 28 Years Later. I
Mm,
I really loved it. Like it has all of the like zombie action stuff you would expect, but less. It's not about that. There's less of it than you would think. And the stuff that really stuck with me was more in the second half of the movie, which is much more somber. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but I would recommend it. And
mm-hmm.
I've been reading Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, same author who wrote The Martian, the book. Um, they're adapting this into a movie starring Ryan Gosling, I think set to come out next year. So I was like,
Mm,
oh, I'll read this. I'll check it out before the movie. I won't. There's a twist premise in the book, and I won't spoil it for anybody. I think the movie trailer does spoil it. I haven't watched that yet.
mm,
But it's basically the initial premise is there is this like organism kind of draining energy from the sun, which will
mm-hmm.
cause Earth's temperature to decrease by a couple degrees, which will, throw off the entire ecosystem and, fuck everything up. So
Oh, okay.
there is like a worldwide scientific effort put together to find a solution to this problem. And we follow this scientist turned teacher who is kind of pulled in to it. It's a really fun read so far. I'm really
That's
enjoying it.
fascinating. Hmm.
Yeah,
I think I need to read that.
it's cool. I also, in preparation for Superman, I went back and watched the original Richard Donner 1978 Superman movie.
Wow.
It It's a ton of fun, man. I It's so charming, and like the flying looks goofy and like dated obviously, but it doesn't matter. It's like every time he flies in that movie there's just like a sense of whimsy and wonder. And John
Cool.
Williams wrote the score obviously, which is fantastic. But I think the flying, I think in Patrick Willems' video, in the history of like flying on film, he talks about it. But I think he said, and I totally see it, that the flying in Superman 78 is very inspired by Peter Pan, uh, or like because
Oh, yeah.
because the way he and Lois fly, it's like in terms of physics, it doesn't work. He just like has her off to the side, like flying with him like this.
Yeah, he's like pulling Wendy along. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
And then there's a scene where he like catches a helicopter, and the he just is like on the side of it, and he's holding the like little landing gear like this and flies up with it, but it just works. And I talked about it in the main review earlier, but like the way he carries himself as Clark versus how he carries himself as Superman, and the way he enunciates. There's one scene where Lois is like changing, getting ready for their date, and he's contemplating, I guess, telling her he's Superman, and he takes off the glasses and sort of he's like a little hunched over, and then you see him stand up straight, and then he
Mm.
changes the tone of his voice. It's so great to watch the
Ooh.
transition just in camera. And he does the little like spin around the spinning door to change out of his like regular clothes into Superman attire. It's really
Cool.
charming. I'd really recommend watching it. Um, it is funny that Marlon Brando gets top billing in the
Yeah.
movie because he plays Jor-El. He's only in the beginning, obviously. And he calls Krypton Krypton. He's like,
Krypton.
I'm here on the planet Krypton.
Yeah, he's Marlon Brando. He didn't care at that point.
No, I don't think he did. But it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's funny.
I've also been watching the anime Dandadan. It came back.
Cool.
A lot of fun. Picks up right where the first season left off. It's a fun little anime. I like it. And then I started playing. I haven't gotten super far into it, but Hideo Kojima's Death Stranding. Um,
Ooh, cool.
yeah, and it's very interesting. Stars Norman Reedus and Leah Seydoux. Guillermo del Toro was in it as well. A bunch
Right,
of like
right.
famous people are in it, and the sequel has even more famous people in it. But the main gameplay is like you're transporting packages, and you load up your pack with like you try to strategize like where the weight is a little bit, and you
Right.
pick what gear for what route you're going to take. And the main gameplay is basically analyzing, scanning the terrain, and making sure Norman Reedus doesn't fall over and damage the stuff he's carrying. Like that is the main gameplay loop. And they're like you like balance him with the triggers, and you can scan the terrain for like how difficult it is to pass. And if you turn him too sharply, like he'll lose balance. So you have to be
Mm-hmm.
careful about it. Makes walking engaging. And then it's also very relaxing because like if you're just kind of going along for a little bit, the camera will kind of pull out and you see this beautiful volcanic landscape, and then
Mm.
like a licensed song will come on as you walk across the countryside. It's a very interesting experience.
That's
um
cool. Yeah, I've
yeah.
heard mixed things about the game, but overall I've heard, yeah, like it's just beautiful when you're playing it.
Hmm.
Um that's, yeah, maybe I'll play it one day.
Yeah, I think what happened was because Kojima made Metal Gear Solid. That whole franchise was his thing, and then when he
Mhm.
got ousted from Konami and started his own game studio, Kojima Productions, I think a lot of people were expecting another Metal Gear type of thing. And so when they fired up the game for the first time back in 2019, and it was like a package delivery game, people were like, what the fuck?
What is this?
And also the narrative and world is very weird and esoteric by design. But I think what's happened is over the years, people have started meeting Death Stranding on its own terms, and they love what he's created to the extent that like all the critics and people who kind of panned Death Stranding are celebrating Death Stranding too, because they
Mm,
understand the vision and they're engaging with it for what it is and loving it. So
hell yeah.
yeah, but it's cool. But I think that's gonna do it for us this week. That's the show. We will be back in 2 weeks time for Fantastic Four, I believe,
Fantastic Four.
which hopefully is very very good. But Niles, where can people find you online until then?
You can follow me on Instagram at Niles Got No Styles. What about you, Dylan? Where can people follow you online?
You can follow me on Instagram at DylanD1026, on Twitter at DDay Movies, on YouTube at DDay Movies, and you can follow both of us at Play Pause Rewind on your podcast platform of choice and on YouTube. You can also find us on our second YouTube channel, Play Pause Rewind Videos. We mentioned our series Rewind during the episode. That is where that lives. And yeah, we're on like TikTok and stuff too, but all of that is linked in the description if you want to find us. Thank you all so much for watching or listening. Stay
Thank you.
safe out there. We'll see you in 2 weeks to talk about some Marvel. Goodbye.
Bye.